Well, oh my gosh, I gotta record episode 5 impressions for Chitose and Ramune bottle and come to find out the news. Yes, the series is going into production hell. Episode 6 is delayed until December 2nd, at which point they will continue to air the series until episode 10. And then at that point, who knows? Episode 11 through 13, they don't even know when it's going to air. And at this point, with how packed winter is, I'm going to assume it's probably going to be pushed to the end of winter or possibly rebroadcast in spring to finish it there. I'm more leaning towards a second because that's a lot of episodes to delay into the tail end of another season, which they do a lot of. Because for those who don't know, before a season starts, they have like television broadcast networks with time slots. You have this many days of broadcast to fill. And so if they have too many episodes delayed, they have to push it off into another season because they're starting a new series like on that time slot right after that ends. In order to fit that many episodes at the tail end of another season's broadcast, there's not many slots available. And again, so that usually leaves it open to the idea of just, well, let's just lock down a full block again, rebroadcast a series, and end it. Again, either one of those two could happen, tail end of winter or possibly just a full-on rebroadcast or a tail end of spring. One of those three options is there, but either way, it sucks. It's like my favorite show of the season right now, and it's just going into production hell, which is a good thing, honestly, because it's better that they delay it than us get garbage. You know, we could get PNG sliding on the screen like another show that's happening right now. It sucks. It sucks. Anyways, that aside, again, reminder, episode 6 not airing until December 2nd. They'll continue this series until episode 10, at which point they don't know. Further details later. We'll probably find out some point in winter when the last episodes will air. I really do wish, this is one of those moments where I really wish that Japan would get away from TV broadcast, more focused on streaming. That way these delays don't actually have to happen. They could just say, okay, look, we're having a problem, we're delaying the next episode, and then we'll finish the rest of the series. Not have this whole crap where we're so stuck on a TV block. I hate the TV blocks. The TV blocks suck. There's so much more flexibility on, streaming services. But that aside, episode 5. Let's talk about episode 5. There is some good, juicy stuff in here that I do want to talk about. Obviously, a lot of this focus on this episode is Nanase. So I was right in my feeling that it didn't seem like Yuzuki Nanase was like the other girls, where it felt like something was fixed there. Similar to Asuka. Asuka's a similar situation. Asuka, I feel like, is another character that he's going to have to fix. It feels like Yua has been fixed. It feels like Yuko has been fixed. It even feels like Haru has been fixed somehow. But it seems like Yuzuki specifically, she's dealing with a current problem. Now, he could have helped her with something in the past, and now he's helping her again. But either way, yes, a lot of focus on her specifically. And yes, I have to admit, not my favorite girl. I feel like Yuzuki Nanase is sort of similar to Senjougahara. She's a Senjougahara character. Senjougahara, for those who don't know, from Monogatari series. Senjougahara of Monogatari series is hot AF. Like, I would, in a heartbeat, would go out with her. Like, if she, for some reason, asked me out, heartbeat. If the door was open, I'd go after that. She is hot. Yuzuki Nanase is hot. Would definitely at the drop of a hat go out with her. But they're both boring and actually watching a show about them. I know a lot of Senjougahara fans love her in the show, but I always found her extremely boring. Like, again, she's hot, but she's really boring to watch. So it's one of those oddities where, like, they're attractive and I really like them and I would love talking with them. I just find myself bored watching a show about them interacting with other characters. It's weird, I know. But that's what I'm sort of getting with Yuzuki. But let's dive into the episode, opening up the episode with Saku meeting up with Yuzuki at the store like they left off with the previous episode. Very quickly, we get a sense here that two of them are very similar in a lot of ways. I was getting a sense of the entire episode, and they kind of hint on it a little bit after their little basketball match, that the two of them are really good at hiding their true selves. And they both know that. They both know that they're wearing masks. And that seems to be a lot of discussion when they're sitting there. He's questioning, why did you choose me? What's going on? He already knows right off the bat, even though they're having this little fun banter, he knows right off the bat there's a reason why she's come to him. She's wearing a mask, and there's something underneath there, and she's got a problem that she's facing that she's trying to cover up for. You chose specifically me. Well, why wouldn't I choose you? You're hot. Why? What? All the other girls are going to choose you because you're hot. Why can't I choose you because you're hot? Because he knows she's different. He knows that she's different. I like how they get into at some point that she does even go out of her way to sort of give him hints that she won't get the wrong impression. If he's nice to her, she's giving the impression to him, don't worry, I'm not going to read you wrong. I'm not going to think that you're coming on to me and feel that there's some sort of feelings here. It's a friendship. It's a mutual respect, this kind of stuff. So she's not going to be like a lot of other people where just because this hot guy talks to them, oh, I have a chance. Or, oh, I'm going to pursue him and kind of ruin things. There is a lot of elements with their relationship and essentially the relationship of Saku's team or his little group that people know like those boundaries to kind of not step on. I mean, Yuko has pointed out several times the fact that he always has this barrier up that she's fully aware of. And that's sort of what he got into at the end of the last episode, that there is a sense here where he wants to feel people out before he calls it love. He's not wanting to just jump into a relationship with anybody because he sees how sort of toxic it can turn into. That idea that somebody has this fantastical view on what love is until it doesn't work out, and then suddenly they blame the other person or they lash out at the other people because it didn't turn out how they wanted it to. Anyways, that's all for me to say that there is a mask here. He sees it, and eventually he is prodding until eventually she does reveal that, yes, there's something going on here. Nanase Yuzuki has a stalker, which I'm getting a sense of throughout the episode that it's probably somebody to have something to do with basketball specifically. It does feel like, obviously, she has been in basketball before. It did feel like these guys seem to recognize Kazuki and Kaito, but I'm getting a feeling that it has something to do with basketball, because that's when she was in, previously, I would assume, is basketball with Haru, and now they're at this new school, and there seems to be some sort of issue with it. But anyway, she wants him to be her boyfriend, and to act as the perfect boyfriend, which, yes, he's totally capable of doing. She's like, I want you to be the perfect boyfriend so that the stalkers give up. You got that covered already. Secondly, I want you to deal with the stalker if it turns out that it goes to nasty streak. So yeah, basically, if things get rough, I want you to take care of it. He's like, well, I have never fought before. Saying you never fought and that you can't fight are two different things. You need to handle it. Which is just sort of where I get into this like very difficult area to sort of believe how this is playing out. Now, everybody sort of gives the impression that Saku himself is a hero. He's somebody that handles all these issues. He's really good at taking care of things. But it is sort of difficult for me to sort of follow somebody like Nanase Yuzuki being comfortable with coming to him and having this request. Because this is a sad reality with situations of stalking or some sort of domestic dispute. Somebody is threatening somebody else. It's very difficult for them to come to a friend like somebody like Saku and say, hey, put yourself as a shield with me. Now, granted, unfortunately, there's not really much options that Yuzuki herself has. Even the teacher later on says it. Should we go to the cops? They probably won't do anything. What can they do? They're not going to issue somebody to follow her around all the time to make sure that there's not a stalker after her. Plenty of people have issues with stalkers and feeling that they're being stalked, and they can't have a police officer follow every single woman down the street. There's like this whole sense here that until something happens, nothing can happen. And even if something happens, in a lot of cases, it goes unpunished. There's a problem here that Yuzuki really has no options available to her besides turning to somebody that she does trust. She trusts Saku, but there is another side of me that sees the difficulty in her even asking him because it's putting his life in danger. If she has a stalker and he follows her as a boyfriend, he's at threat of getting killed. Stalkers especially are extremely dangerous. Yeah, somebody she turns down and somebody that's jealous, another story. Stalkers in a lot of cases turn to violence very quickly. Anyways, yes, he says that there's no pros to him, so she replies to say, you could do whatever you want with me, as much as you want with me, as many times as you want with me. I'm like, damn, dude. Really? Really some girl gonna come on like that? I mean, no doubt she would be perfectly willing to. Like, hey, if he goes, all right, let's go do it right now, she'd probably have a little hesitation there, but she'd probably want it. But no, I know she knows that he wouldn't do anything. Like, this is one of those things where she knows perfectly well that he wouldn't take that and take advantage of that. She's doing this just to kind of egg him on. Like he says, she's a perfect female version of me. She knows her boundaries. She knows how to get at him, all that kind of stuff. To which, yes, we have a little fake out. All right, I have some pent up in me that I want to shoot out. Help me shoot this out. And sure enough, it's just basketball. It's just like, okay, what is this? Oh, yeah, that's right. She's a basketball player. So sure enough, it has to be basketball. So dorky. But I do love the conversation they have after the basketball game, because this is a lot to do with, again, how similar the two of them are, and really about vulnerability itself. She says, thank you for not saying things like, it must have been hard for you, or you can lean on me, that kind of stuff. And he says, I know people like us hate being told that we can be vulnerable with somebody. Again, the two of them are very similar, and this is sort of the reason why I don't think that they are actually a good match. Again, I've said before that my prediction currently is that Asuka is going to be the pick at the end. She's just got the hair type and the archetype that typically these shows like to go the direction of. The one that's very isolated, the bookworm type of character, it's the left field type of character. Unless there's another character that's slapped on the front of the cover that's very kind of, more in the middle area of archetypes, it's going to be the bookworm character. I don't think Yuzuki herself is technically a good match for Saku, just because this scene right here. They're pointing out very often about how similar they are. They both like to keep their true self hidden away. Their front self is this perfect self that is always at people's face. They don't get to see the other side. There's never at some point where they let that drop momentarily to show them something else. It's always shielded. Nobody gets to see it. And it seems like Saku and Yuzuki both see that about each other. Now, it does seem like everybody else knows that Saku has two sides, but it does seem like Yuzuki's hiding that other side from everybody else. And it does touch on it a little bit later on, the idea that he kind of covers her up the moment that it shows that that's kind of falling away, and he doesn't want her to show it. This seems to be something that currently right now, Saku sees as a benefit because of what she's going through. He doesn't want her to show that vulnerable side as there's a threat coming after her. Don't worry about relying on me. Don't think about burdening me with your vulnerabilities. Just use me when you think it's the best course of action. I like it. There is a good bond here between the two of them because of the fact that she doesn't want to show other people that vulnerability, and thus turning to him, she doesn't have to worry about other people seeing it. But at the same time, I feel like that's a bad match for most other people because of just how perfect the two of them have to be. They never get to show their real side. I think it's sort of nice to have somebody else that sort of allows you to show that vulnerability, which I guess is sort of what he's telling her to do. So anyways, it's when they go to class and reveal to everybody they're dating. I like how Yuko immediately calls it. There's hell no way he's going out with you. You're not ready. You haven't proven yourself yet. You two are faking it, right? Looks to Saku. Saku kind of glances away. See, he's struggling. Yuko immediately called it. My girl immediately called it. Thankfully, she knew. I was afraid they were going to hide it, and thus she's like all broken or something. That was a thing that I was afraid of last episode, was like, of all the girls, I could see Yuko crashing because of how much she adores him and how expressive she is about how much she adores him. So yeah, sure enough, they have a little meeting. You think that I don't have a chance? You don't have a chance either. Mukachi! I like a little Mukachi. But yeah, they have a little meeting, which, cool. See that Kenta's a part of the group. I was actually curious about that, if he's actually going to hang out with them as well. I mean, they were going to be friends, and he was going to be over there saying hi or whatever, but this is kind of showing that Kento is a part of their crowd, which is really cool. But yeah, they're all kind of just reassuring her, showing they're supporting the whole situation. They're going to confront the person or whatever. Before Saku goes and talks to Kuro-sensei, which, like I said before, this is sort of the problem that you have. I like how he makes a little joke. What'd you do in your past life to land you a secret relationship with a D-cup beauty? But anyways, no, the teacher, again, pointing out the sad reality of society, that when there's situations like this, and not just in Japan, it's in America too, that nothing happens until something happens. That's the sad reality. Until somebody actually takes action on the victim, nothing happens. You can tell the cops, I think somebody's following me. They're going to go, well, do you want to make a report or something like that? It's not like they're going to sit outside your house 24/7. This isn't like, Hollywood, where suddenly you have somebody stationed out front that's keeping an eye out for you. No, they go off and patrol. They don't hang out. They wait until you're murdered or something else happens to you before something happens. That's the sad reality. And he's even pointing out here, turn to me, and he makes a joke about it. And he says, all we're really good for is just for somebody to talk to. He literally says, leave it to Kuro-sensei. Not really, but you can talk to me at least. That's all teachers are good for. Even if he wanted to, Kuro-sensei can't follow around Yuzuki because he has responsibilities elsewhere and he'd probably get in trouble for it. He's pointing out simply, that's all teachers can do. I can't go down there and beat the crap out of these kids if they're following her around. They would arrest me. Saku's the only one that could do really anything about the situation. That's the sucky reality. That's the horrible reality of things like stalking and stuff like that. There's very little that you can do to sort of protect yourself. It's crappy. It's crappy. Then we got to after school. Out of nowhere, Nazuna just randomly shows up to hang out with Saku. Seemed like she was trying to prod some information out of him about his relationship with Yuzuki. Points out the fact that she doesn't like how Yuzuki sort of, hides how she's thinking, which, again, we've kind of gotten the impression of. This is a girl with masks. She's good at hiding her true self, and Nazuna hates that. I think Nazuna is probably the type within her group that's really good at gossip and figuring people out and finding things to sort of get at people with. And if she can't read somebody, she can't control the situation. This is something that somebody like her does not like. But it's interesting to have her sort of get his contact information. It does seem like she's sort of trying to break a little bit out of their group. But again, that goes back to what I was saying before, where I kind of feel like what they're doing with Otomu and that group, the group of the bullies in that class, I'm thinking they're probably going to take a direction that he simply does respect Saku so much that he wants to help Saku. And he's not actually a really bad person. So it might turn out to have a situation where, Nazuna and Otomu, that group, could eventually become something that Saku uses in the future. Anyway, she ends up running off, and then Yuzuki comes up, and they're a little late. Her and Haru are a little late, and it seems like apparently she lost her sweat rags and her deodorant, and so she had to use Haru's. She's acting all girly. But this does open the door to the discussion about the fact that it seems like somebody potentially is bullying her. I feel like this is two different situations here. I really do feel like this is two different things. It does seem like it's trying to play it out as this is all one situation here. And they were kind of pointing out the idea of like, who would actually steal those rags though? If it was a stalker, they would steal something that you used, something that would have your smell on it. Your used clothes, your used towel, something like that. Not unused wipes. Why would they use that? Or why would they steal that? Yes, it does sort of hint at the idea that Nazuna's involved because she comes to talk to him right during that whole situation, and then she runs off, even though she said that she's willing to say things in front of Yuzuki's face. I think that's sort of a misdirection there to try to get you to think that. But I think there is an element here where somebody does not like Yuzuki, probably because she's now going out with Saku. And then there's other situation over here of stalking. Two different issues here that want to play out like they're the same thing. And I think Saku kind of picks up on that. Anyways, she asks for a date. He kind of offers to her that if she wins her next match, they'll go on a date. And then kind of cheering her up a little bit there. It does seem like, she thanks him for it. And he asks for a request to touch her thigh. You do see this here, though. The fact that this stuff is happening to her, it's bothering her. And he does acknowledge that something's bothering her, and he's trying to cheer her up. But that's when we cut to the library, where we get a brief little snippet into Yua, and the fact that it seems like apparently a year prior, she used to wear glasses. She didn't have much care for her appearances much. And then at some point, he jokes about it, but I would assume this is probably true. Saku told her that this whole trope of the beauty that has glasses that takes them off and becomes a beauty, that trope's out. And he's more into the trope now where the beauty one day suddenly surprises you with glasses. So she's decided to change her personality and her look because of that. I'm assuming, she was probably the bookworm type or something like that, was being bullied or something like that. She decided to change her appearance, and it could be a lot to do with Saku. She wanted to get prettier because she likes Saku. And again, we got a hint of that in the first episode. When she comes out there to greet him, she steps back, and then she checks her appearance to make sure she looks all pretty before she walks out. Her beauty has a lot to do with something to impress Saku. But anyways, it was a snippet. But yes, suddenly some dudes from another school are outside, and Saku decides to confront them. And yes, very quickly, these guys out themselves as apparently working for their senpai. They have this senior apparently is very interested in Yuzuki. And so they confront Saku in order to get more information about her, suss out the fact that he's going out with her, before threatening him to get her contact information, and he doesn't want to let him have it. So they get a little rough. He grips their hand really, really strong and throws him over. They're about to beat the crap out of him, but then suddenly Kaito and Kazuki show up. And it does seem like they very quickly pick up on Kaito and Kazuki. I mean, it does bring them to even numbers, and that couldn't be enough for a bunch of people that act like they're tough to run away. But I kind of wonder if they knew who Kaito and Kazuki is. Again, because these are all supposed to be like, again, some of the best in their league. So you would assume that they would probably know who they are or possibly have run into them before. Either way, it does sort of narrow the situation down to it being a senior of another school that wants to get with Yuzuki, wants to get in her pants. And he's sending his little lackeys to get information about her or to get in contact with her so that he can get to her. Which I kind of assume may possibly be a situation where it was probably somebody that Yuzuki had known from a previous school. I mean, it goes to what she was mentioning at the very beginning of this episode. Or at least he was sort of getting a read of. I'm guessing hurt feelings were involved since you want a boyfriend. But it has to be a guy that gets your plight of being too popular for your own good. Again, I kind of assume it's probably going to be a situation where there's somebody that she turned down in the past. And it's somebody that she's probably very aware of. Either way, wraps up the episode with Yuzuki being a little bit shook up. Even though, again, it doesn't seem like she wants to show it. Her thanking him, being afraid of his, well-being, apologizing for the fact that he nearly got hit. But personally, it kind of rubs me the wrong way, the fact that he says that he wants her to stop talking, speak up when you're back to being Yuzuki. His desire for her to not essentially drop the Yuzuki that she always is. Which I can see what he's sort of saying here in the idea that her putting on that mask sort of is what she does to shield her emotions and shield how afraid she is. But at the same time, I have experience with that personally in the idea that the more you cover it up, the more you hide that you're hurting, the more that you hide that you're afraid, eventually you crash out. Eventually you will crash and burn. He's wanting her to keep on that strong face, that strong appearance that she always does. Even when she's walking away right here, he gives that sense there. She's beautiful and frail, yet proud as she walks away. This girl stubbornly insists on standing tall at all times. He knows full damn well that she's really good at showing that she's strong, even though deep inside she is frail. It's almost as if he wants her to keep up that facade, keep that mask on, and don't show that vulnerability that she's currently going through. Which again, I understand in public, she'd probably want to keep on that face to show possibly somebody else that she's not weak and that she's ready to be taken. But it still sucks because, again, I understand that idea that eventually you're going to crash. But yes, Saku, I think if anybody could probably understand how she feels, because I think the two of them, again, are very similar in that regard. Both of them are very good at keeping on that mask. Both of them never show their true side. And so for him, seeing her kind of breaking, he's like, I've done that before. Don't do that. Keep on that strong mask. Keep that covered. Keep that ball inside. Come back to me when you're back to being Yuzuki. Anyway, decent episode overall. Again, sucks to find out that we're not getting an episode 6 anytime soon, so we're not going to find the conclusion of this whole situation for a long time. It's finally hitting me again. That realization that we're not going to find out what happens to poor Yuzuki for another month. It sucks. An entire month we're going to have to wait until we find out what happens to Yuzuki. I'm actually really happy now because when I was watching this episode, when she went to go walk away and walk up the steps, I thought it was going to end the episode with the baddie at the top of the stairs. I even thought as it was going to pan out, you were going to see like a figure coming up towards the edge of the bank. And it's going to be like cut off there. And it's be like this cliffhanger that they just suddenly get confronted by this senior. I'm so glad they didn't leave a cliffhanger at that point. So glad. Thank you so much, Studio Phil. Maybe they had plans to, and they're like, nah, we probably shouldn't do that. Either way, I'll see you guys in 1 month. I hope you guys enjoy this video as always. If you did, hit the like button down below. Leave me a comment. Let's all join together and suffer together as we wait an entire month for this to come back. But I hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, y'all take care.